They can take that three-man roster to the limits. They have shown us multiple compositions, Majidin playing a rogue as well as a warlock, Floria playing that holy paladin as well as a restoration shaman, and Asper playing a boomkin and a feral druid. So we're going to see what these guys are going to be choosing up against, Donut. Before they played the main Moonkin Holy Pally, the composition that they're so well known for against the two cleaves of Donut, and they did so well. But here we go. The queue has popped, and we're going to jump into game number 1 of this Best of 5 series here on the Grand Arena. And it does look like we have a Boomkin, we have a Feral Druid, so it looks like Donut's going to run with the Feral DK Holy Paladin. And when you were saying earlier, Supa, when these guys placed before, that Feral Druid is a good choice. And but why is that?
Oh, the Feral Druid is immune to Polymorph, so the one strength that Method's team has is they have a lot of crowd control with Cyclone and Polymorph. So if you have a teammate that's just passively immune to one, you got another teammate like a Death Knight that can break out of a lot of crowd control effects, and then a Paladin supporting them with freedoms. You can also remove a lot of crowd control effects. So it just allows them to stay very mobile and stay on top of Floria. That being said, they have to use their abilities aggressively. Sorry, my names are wrong here, but Team Donut need to play aggressive and quick to be able to end the game against Method, or they will eventually fall behind. They will eventually run out of trinkets and cooldowns to rotate through, and they're very susceptible to getting isolated and bursted down.
Yep, so the game is now underway, moving right out in here immediately. Ed, the Feral Druid, just going straight onto Floria with the Silence coming out as well, trying to put as much damage as possible into Floria, but does get caught into that Fist of Justice. And actually, Ed may be in a little bit of trouble here as well. We do not yet have any of the Survival Instincts used, but he, dipping super low there, may have actually wanted to use one there, and in fact is just going to go down. I'm actually completely unsure of what happened there. He did use one of his Survival Instincts before dying, but that was a whole lot of damage coming out from way back. It's possible that Donut was just simply not prepared for it.
I really don't think they were, man.
Twice in a row.
Yeah.
I think that he got locked out twice in a row.
Mm.
So, I mean, like, you've got celestial alignment going. Like, that's a cooldown that you can't go toe-to-toe with most of the time. Especially if you're not crowd controlling the Moonkin. So Asper was able to get everything off that he needed to, and I believe that Kappa just got locked on his cast twice, and the game ended instantly because of it.
Yeah, I'm watching the replay right now. The Celestial Alignment is going to be used. And Kappa, he does bubble to just free cast through that. And that's probably why Ed didn't want to Survival Instincts. He wanted to, just to kind of like, spread out those defensive cooldowns because the bubble and the wings were up. But it just is too little too late. With Celestial Alignment, it's kind of not that big a deal to overreact in defensive cooldowns because it's a big button.
Yeah, I was just watching the replay through the stream as well, and there was just the one lockout immediately after the bubble fell off, and Ed was already in a lot of trouble at that point, so maybe even just a little bit of miscommunication there from Donut with, no, don't use it, you're fine, don't use it, you're fine, oh, I'm locked out, oh, you're dead. Right. That's the sort of thing that can happen in those situations, so... Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, that was obviously like the Celestial Alignment coming out from Asper, as well as all the damage that Majidin was able to put out in that with his Ice Novas and everything. It's just a lot of damage, and you got to respect that from that team, or else you just die, as we just saw.
Yeah, I think Donut's definitely in like in a stringy situation. If they were to they need to stay in the game long enough to be able to for Floria to rotate through all his defensive cooldowns and kill him. So to be able to do that, they have to kind of be frugal with their defensive cooldowns to stay in the game long enough to do that all-in strategy. But oh man, it's just really difficult because they can't be that greedy, or they have to be somewhat greedy to stay in the game long enough to get the kill. But at the same time, if they become too greedy, you see that punishment coming out from Weeback, and they're pretty consistent in being able to do that kind of damage over and over and over again. So I'm interested to see how Donut's going to react in game number 2.
I'd say it's more multi-layered than that even. I mean, it's not as simple as just do enough damage for his cooldowns, use your cooldowns properly. They also have to be on top of preventing crowd control, because if Asper is able to freely Cyclone, Floria is going to be able to save cooldowns. So Donut, they have to play pretty much close to perfect. That last game getting locked out, definitely unfortunate for Kappa. I wonder if maybe he just got surprised by it or wasn't prepared, didn't want to pre-Ore Mastery. You usually want to save your Ore Mastery to break out of Asper's Solar Beam. So he wanted to be greedy with it, and he ended up getting punished for it. Obviously, Donut, they need to play very well in this specific matchup to be able to win. locking out Asbury is very important. Sticking onto Floria is the next most important goal. And then trying to prevent CC in between on Kappa if possible is their third major goal. So let's see if they can prevent CC on Kappa, connect onto Floria, and stop Asbury from cycloning. Jeff is going to just charge across the map, right onto Floria, instantly connecting. Foxy will follow up and suit here shortly. Kappa already eating a full polymorph, this time choosing to sit through it. We usually see him bubble this right away, but he's choosing to sit the crowd control. Let's see how that plays out. Actually now choosing to bubble later into the CC chain, as they did make a swap over to Foxy, already losing 70% of his health. Not even to the Celestial Alignment just yet from Asper, so he still has quite a bit of damage. Floria caught into a bash. We can see Donut doing quite a bit of pressure onto him, but he still has Avenging Wrath. He still has his cooldowns. Should he get locked out, though, he could get bursted down incredibly fast. We see Foxy actually feeling the return of that Celestial Alignment from Asper, and now getting cloned up at low HP. Now Kappa getting cloned. This could be trouble for Foxy as he's caught in that full fist of justice. He trinkets out. It might not be enough. Ice Lance connects. Kappa gets cloned again. Foxy on the run. Is he going to be able to escape in time? He's down below, out of line of sight, trying to avoid as much damage as possible, but the CC is too much. Foxy will go down. Kappa just unable to play, and I don't know. I don't know what they could do better. It feels really hard for them. I don't think bubbling, like, especially if he's going to try and wait till the last second and then bubbling at the last second, I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah, not even that scenario. It definitely feels like it's a one-sided matchup between these two compositions, for sure. But Donut, they've proven that they can find, those small opportunities by playing so well. And Jeff with his steals, like, he's been stealing Cyclones in the past, and he really does get a lot of headway with that. Maybe they could find some sort of opportunity with that, but unless, like, that sort of scenario happens, it's going to be really difficult for for Donut to take down Weeback. Weeback just looking so strong against them.
Yeah, I feel like positioning was a thing there as well. Like, there were a couple of points where there was a gap in the crowd control on Kappa that he might have been able to get, like, a quick instant heal, even just like an execution sentence or something. I'm not sure if it was off cooldown at that point, but just something quick and instant onto Foxy that might have helped him live a little bit longer. But Foxy was just constantly out of line of sight from Kappa. The CC was almost unnecessary at certain points because Kappa wouldn't have been able to cast a heal anyway. So I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what exactly is going on in these couple of matches. We saw some really good play out of both of these teams yesterday, and it just seems like Weeback is just completely stomping all over Donut at the moment, and Donut just doesn't have an answer for it.
Yeah, I think Asper's team is the one team that, like, never stops queuing, and to be honest, I think Jeff's team is similar, but I don't know how much they play with Foxy. I know they play a lot with balance. I think they're the #1 team on the ladder with balance, so maybe they should just go, even though the composition is even more disadvantaged, even though, like, it could be harder, just because they have better practice with it, I think they'll perform better. Maybe hope that Weeback make a couple mistakes, try and capitalize on those, and get a win that way. Like, I'm just trying to brainstorm in my head, like, what kind of changes they can make to make that easier. We saw yesterday that Kappa was getting a lot of good cross-stunning, so he was Fist of Justicing Asper the Moonkin at the same time that Floria was getting stunned. That way you crowd control, prevent Cyclones, prevent off-healing. So I'm wondering if maybe Jeff doesn't need to run Strangulate. I mean, there's always going to be an answer for it. As a Holy Paladin playing Dwarf, you're either going to have a Dwarf racial to get out of the Strangulate, you're going to have an Aura Master to get out of the Strangulate. You're always going to have an answer for it. So if he was running Asphyxiate, he would have an undispellable stun. He wouldn't need to make sure that it's cross-stunned. He could just throw it out whenever there's too much damage coming out from Asper, try and harass him with it over and over to slow down the pace of the game. Because that's what they really need to do. They need to slow down the damage onto the Feral Druid Foxy if they want to take victory, as he's just taking too much damage. I mean, maybe he should just run. Maybe he should wait till Celestial Alignment is over and kind of turtle up until that cooldown has been used and then go out and attack.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I was thinking as well, is that it might be, like, maybe obviously their approach of let's just go over there and kill Floria immediately is not working. Floria has too many defensive cooldowns to be able to cycle through that, and Foxy is just up and dying before he can get anything done. So maybe just pulling back and playing a lot more defensively, and like you say, trying to get the Celestial Alignment out and then going and moving in so that they can survive through all of that, maybe is a better option. And in that situation, it may actually make a lot of sense to swap over to balance on the Windwalker and play Windwalker DK instead of the Ebola Cleave or whatever we're calling Feral DK these days.
One of them names.
It might make a lot of sense.
Yeah, especially considering the map choice that we just saw. I mean, Blades Edge Arena is going to be chosen, and with that Z-axis, balance, just being super slippery with his ports. But moving forward into this game, Donut has got to be trying to reevaluate what it is they could do differently for sure. And with the compositions, the two main compositions that they have available to him, it definitely looks like it's an uphill battle at the very least against Weeback's main composition, Mage Boomkin. But it looks like the maps are ready. We're going to jump right into it. And yep, we do see Balance enter the arena with his beautiful pink tunic, as well as Melman. And maybe this will be exactly what they need to take down Mage Moonkin Holy Paladin for Weeback. But yeah, like you said, Supa, these guys have put in a lot of games. A lot of games have been put in, and they probably, because both of these teams play so much, I'm sure that they've faced each other more than a couple times here on the ladder. So Weeback probably not even that surprised by anything that Donut could throw at him.
Earlier in the GCD Pro League and even on the ladder, Asper's team actually struggled with the Feral Druid Ebola Cleave. They were just losing over and over, and it felt really hopeless. So now, throughout the time, Weeback with a little bit more gear, I guess, within the tournament gear, just scaling with more damage, getting better control of the matchup. Now they are winning versus Ebola. So now Donut needs to find a response. And we've seen Windwalker DK struggling with this comp, any Mage Paladin specifically, and they get closer and closer every week. So maybe this is it. They have to win 3 in a row, though. So, winning 1 might just be lucky, but to win 3, that's going to take a lot of skill and hard effort. So let's see if they can do it. Jeff's just mounted up, running across Asper into the paralyzed Feloria. Already Fist of Justice. They're going to both connect onto him here, but not enough damage coming out just yet. There's the Fist of Fury, but he does get Typhooned on it. We see the Stone Form on that Strangulate, but already a Touch of Karma. Maybe Balance trying to bait out a bubble and lock Feloria out on his cast. Feloria could take a lot of damage here, but he gets that Execution sent off. He's going to stabilize himself completely fine with that Avenging Wrath, but they have burned through the Stone Form. They've burned through the Avenging Wrath. It looks like Weeback are setting up on the Balance, so when he already used that Touch of Karma offensively, he's forced to Trinket and Diffuse Magic, and now he's getting cloned up on Diffuse Magic, and Weeback are just playing the matchup perfectly, making it impossible for Donut to get anything done. Kappa is forced to Trinket out of that Polymorph, but now Balance gets cloned up again, switching some damage over onto Jeff. He's just hiding behind the pillar, just quivering in fear over Weeback's pressure. Finally able to get something done here onto Floria as he's dipping below 27% and forced to bubble. Finally, some light to the darkness for Donut. Maybe they can make this happen. Kappa still has his bubble to break up crowd control and keep his team mobile.
Yeah, they have finally managed to get that bubble out of Feloria, but they've used so many defensive cooldowns. Even the Zen Meditation came out of balance there. He's going to go ahead and port back up here, using that Z-axis to his advantage here to get back up on top of the bridge and try to connect once again onto Feloria. Feloria does still have his Trinket available, so they do need to burn through that if they want to be able to get through and actually score a kill on him. Kappa forced to bubble there, just trying to keep his teammates alive as he got caught into a whole lot of CC there briefly. Now the bash onto Jeff, and it looks like they're actually just going hard onto Jeff at the moment. Feloria, though, caught in that Fist of Fury into the Strangulate as well, still has not used his Trinket. He's been able to deal with this fairly well so far and actually bopping himself out of that stun, so he still has his Trinket available, and this is not looking great for Donut at this point, because in terms of defensive cooldowns, we do have the Touch of Karma coming back up for balance at this point, but other than that, there isn't much left, and he's actually going to go ahead and use that right away onto Feloria, just still trying to stay as aggressive as he possibly can, and just getting constantly cycloned off of it.
Yeah, the clones from Asper this game have been very devastating, but Balance was able to get that Touch of Karma off while Feloria was on Forbearance and unable to remove it. So now hopefully he can connect. He still has that Diffuse Magic. He's going to pop that right away. Kappa moving forward. They're going to pop the Avenging Wrath to stay completely aggressive onto Feloria. He has one more Blessing of Protection remaining. Can they connect? Defensive Polymorphs out from Majidin are slowing down the assault, but he gets caught into the leg sweep. He's forced to bop himself out. Can Jeff take this bop off is the question. He's just not able to get it. That Purge never lucky. Feloria might be able to top. They have to prevent him from topping off here. Just casting these heals, not able to connect. Balance is forced to retreat. He actually gets locked on his own Surging Mist. Can they finish Balance off? He's just hiding out of line of sight. Jeff's trying to slow down Asper's assault. Asper's going to blink in. Majidin's looking to tee off and finish him off. Down at 4, down at 0, and Donut will end up falling to Weeback. But you can tell that the practice, man, like the practice means everything. They looked much better, I think, in game number 3 overall. Maybe if they were just playing this from the start, they could have found an opportunity. They were pretty close in that final game. I would definitely say that was the closest that they've ever gotten.
Yeah, I mean, no Trinket, no bubble available for Feloria there at the very end. They definitely had an opportunity to make something happen there on the Holy Paladin of Weeback, but they just weren't able to survive. They did a great job, though. The Z-Axis map definitely paid its weight in gold, having Balance support away whenever he was in trouble. Really let him, you know, rotate through his defensive cooldowns a bit better there. But it just was too little too late, as WeBack is going to take the series 3-0 against Donut and move on to that single elim bracket. We're going to be jumping into the second series of the lower bracket of Group B. And that's up next. I know all of you guys are so excited for that one. You know why everyone's so excited for that one? Because that is Method versus Splice. That is going to be a big deal.